every single video, this gets asked for over and over. And while I have been saying that I have covered this topic in past videos like my aerial routine video and such, today I'm going to go over how to learn air rolling, how to use air roll left or right, and how to go about training it. But firstly, I need to say thank you. Thank you for 100,000 subscribers. The support has been unreal, and to say thank you, I'm doing two things. The first is going to be a 24-hour stream over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Thanovic, or you can find the link in the description. This will be sometime in the next few weeks, but I will announce it on Twitter pretty soon. Next, I've sorted out a 50% off deal for the first 100 people to use the code T100K over on my Rules to Ranking Up course on GamersReady. As a little promotion, I completely built a course to take you from whatever rank you are now all the way up while giving you things to train and advice to take on every step of the way. If you want to look into it a little bit more, head over using the link in the description. You can see everything it covers beforehand. But make sure to get in there quick, as the 50% off only does go to the first 100 people to use the code. So, we start at the start. You are flying around and struggling to control your car. You then learn about air roll and think, oh, so I just have to hold the air roll button and I should be able to move my car whatever direction I want. Seems simple enough. Yeah, it's not that simple. Firstly, I want to cover the controls you can use. I use L1 as normal air roll, square as air roll left, and circle as air roll right. I strongly suggest binding air roll and at least one of the directional air roll buttons, either left or right. Now, I'll get into why a little bit later on, but starting off, if you want to learn basic air rolling, I suggest you go into free play and start with a simple exercise. Fly from one side of the pitch to the other, from goal to goal, not air rolling at all. You do this a few times. Then you go from goal to goal, holding air roll and the analog stick either left or right. This is going to make you barrel roll the entire time. Go through doing this a few times before you move to keeping your car facing upwards and rotating using the air roll button. This should just have you tapping the boost every now and then to maintain your height while your car spins in the air. Everything so far has been pretty simple. You're not really adjusting how your car moves, you're just spinning it to get the hang of things. The tricky part of this is when you start flying to the other goal by first heading out to either the left or the right and then having to readjust to make your way back in. This relies on you having to make small flight path adjustments in the air while maintaining speed and height. This is where it can get very difficult for a lot of people. You not only have to worry about keeping the boost facing towards the floor to keep your car moving the right way, but also stabilizing your car if you start to spin out. This is something you should be doing over and over again when first training. I'm not going to give you a certain amount of time to do this for because different people are going to pick things up at different speeds, but just know that it can take a lot of time. If you feel like you're getting the hang of it, move on to hovering. This is flying around the midfield mark and keeping your car in the air while moving it around with the air roll movements. Now, this isn't exactly easy, but once you start to get the hang of it, you pick it up very quickly. You see, air roll movements are all about muscle memory and building that muscle memory. The more you train, the more you naturally pick up and the easier it gets. I'm starting you off with the basics because you need to slowly build up simple movements in order to get proficient at them, to then do them at speed later on in the training routine. So, hovering around the midfield, you want to try rotating your car or purposely spinning your car out and then trying to recover it straight away. Something to keep in mind is to watch where you're pointing the back end of your car. This is where the boost is, and so if it's facing down, you're going to start flying up. So knowing that and keeping it in mind when you rotate your car and maybe you lose control, if you see the bottom end of your car starts pointing towards the ceiling, you should stop boosting. This is going to save you from boosting yourself into the ground and having little to no time to recover. Making sure you're aware of which way your boost is pointing the entire time throughout your flight path is going to help you greatly in the long run. Now, the next step to the hovering section is to make your way around the center in a circling motion. You want to keep the ball in the center of the pitch and keep ball cam on. Then, you make your way into the air and circle around it. You'll want to tap air roll every now and then to make slight adjustments to your car so that you stay facing towards the ball. This trains those minute movements and can help you to keep your boost facing the right way while making those adjustments in the air. The next step up from this is circling the entire field. Make your way around the outside of the field, trying to make your movements in the air fluid and while keeping at a decent speed. If you want to train yourself a little harder than just turning at the corners, you can add in turns and spins while you're making your way around the field. Once again, these are things that some people are going to get right away and some people are going to seriously struggle with. So learn them at your own pace and don't get too upset if you find it difficult. The last thing I want to suggest before we jump into training air roll left or right is to use the Pillars map and load it up as your free play map. The Pillars map provides an excellent way to train all of these things to another level. Instead of hovering around the center, you can make your way around the map in a figure 8, spinning as much or as little as you like, trying to maintain your speed and height. This is the best way I know that any platform can train their air roll movements and can help them to build their muscle memory to a good point where they can then continue on to the next section. So now we move to directional air roll buttons, which has been a hot topic recently and is something I get asked about all the time. This is the aspect of my aerial game that single-handedly helped me to become 10 times more comfortable and in control of my car at all times. Some people say you only need to bind one directional air roll button, and some say you should learn both for complete control. I am currently trying to learn both, but it is your choice. At this stage, I am almost completely comfortable with my movements using air roll left, but I still have a little bit to go on that side. So, how did I learn and how should you learn? Well, first, understand what it does. Jump in the air and hold your directional button. For examples from now on, I'm going to be saying hold square and referring to air roll left. That way, you know what I'm pressing and what it's bound to. So, jump and hold square. You'll notice your car starts to move as if you're holding air roll and moving the analog stick to the left. The directional air roll button does this for you while also giving you the full control and range of motion of the analog stick. This means you're able to rotate your car in the air while also making small movements along the way by adjusting with the analog stick. So, heading back to the original way we train. This time, focusing on air roll left or right. Go from goal to goal holding your air roll directional button and flying. This should be simple enough for you at this stage if you've gone through with the training I mentioned before. You want to do the same training where you go from one goal to the other but starting off at an angle. This is where it's going to get a little confusing. By holding square or air roll left the entire time and making the small adjustments with your analog stick, you're quickly going to learn how much training and muscle memory this is going to take you. While your car is constantly rotating one way, any movement you make with the analog stick will add to this. So, holding air roll left and moving the analog stick to the right, for example, will give you this movement. Holding the analog stick down will give you this movement. To the left will do this, and holding the analog stick upwards will do this. Then there are all the diagonals and the in-between movements that you have to learn as well. Muscle memory is key here. Repetition is key here. I cannot tell you how to move the analog stick when your car is in each position because not only is it incredibly situational, but even if I did, you wouldn't have the time to think back to what I had said and have time to make the movement before it is already too late. So, going back to the goal-to-goal exercise, now you're going to go through and hold air roll left the entire time while also moving the analog stick around the entire time. Yes, you're going to be spinning out of control. This is going to force you to get the hang of what each of the analog stick movements does and how it affects your car. Learning motions like the tornado spin, which is where you air roll left and hold the analog stick to the right or vice versa, are staples when it comes to perfecting your aerial car control. I use tornado spinning all the time. Whenever I go up for an aerial, I pretty much always start with a tornado spin to get myself into position and then make smaller adjustments with normal air roll. But once again, every play is different. Each movement isn't something I think about, it's something I naturally react with due to the amount of time I've spent training this control. To further this control, once again, you can head into the Pillars map and make your way around doing the figure 8 movement, which will always help you to improve your control while upping the difficulty. Lastly, a really good way I suggest you focus your control once you've gone through the routine of going between the two goals and making it harder for yourself along the way is to use this training pack here. You want to go through and try spinning the entire time and make things really hard for yourself. Now, the reason I suggest spinning the entire time in training is so that you can build the muscle memory faster. This isn't supposed to mean you constantly spin in the game, but by being used to controlling your car through the entire movement in training, it should make your in-game movements a lot smoother and much more simple for you to naturally react to instead of having to think about the movements you should make. Once again, just to finish things off, I want to reiterate that air roll training is not something you can be told. I have showed you a training routine because there is no way to show you situational air roll controls. You need to train and learn, build muscle memory and get used to moving the car around in different positions. Repetition will bring control. Put the time in and you will be rewarded. For anyone that wants to catch me doing this kind of stuff live, make sure to head over to my Twitch stream where majority of the time in free play I am working on my aerial control. For anyone that would like some more tips, feel free to check out the rest of the channel, especially the aerial based videos, as they will give you more advice that can be used with what you've learned here today. If you aren't subbed, consider subscribing to stay up to date with the weekly content. Anyway, that is all from me, and I'll see you next time.